We pay tribute to the heroes who make these summaries possible. MoMe Online, Sweejex1, Brian Bryce, and Raphael Tron. Thank you for your support. Without further ado, let's begin the video. In a dark room, a ray of light slips in as the door opens. It's Haein, who enters alone and silently. She lets her bag fall to the floor and sits on the bed. She runs a hand through her hair before lying down slowly. She seems lost in thought, until something snaps her out of it. She asks what he's doing there and tells him to sit down, since Yeonwon was also there. He replies that he was just taking a look at the house and asks if she minds him looking around a bit more. She sits up curiously and asks what he means, but then smiles and says she doesn't mind, though she adds there isn't much to see. She quickly gets up and asks if he wants something to drink, mentioning she probably has some beer in the fridge. She walks over to check, but is disappointed when she opens it, commenting that there's nothing inside. Meanwhile, Yeonwon watches her intently, almost with fascination. But then, she asks what he's looking at, playfully accusing him of being a pervert. She shakes her head as if trying to shake off those thoughts. He looks away toward another corner and comments that the room reflects her personality well. It's full of instruments and musical equipment. He admits it feels like a musician's room. Then he wonders if there's a sweet smell in the air, guessing it might be coming from a diffuser. At that moment, Haein offers him the only can of beer she found and asks if he wants her to pour it into a glass. He replies that it's not necessary, he'll drink it as is, and asks if she wants some. She shakes her head, admitting she's had enough for today, as she moves to close the window. Then she asks if the room feels a bit small and explains that having 2 floors can make things a bit tricky. But Yeonwon says the place feels nice and cozy and there's also plenty of storage space. However, he brings up a concern, if she can play instruments without bothering the neighbors. Haein assures him it's fine because the apartment is soundproof. She explains the previous owner set it up that way and told her to use it freely. With a smile, she adds that they could do whatever they want there and asks if that doesn't sound great to him. Yeonwon watches her for a few seconds, takes a sip of beer, and says yes, it sounds great. Then he sits down and asks if her parents aren't worried about her living alone. Haein says no, her family is pretty lenient. Besides, since she works at her uncle's studio, everyone thinks he's taking care of her. Yeonwon nods in understanding but reflects aloud that the uncle also lives alone. He wonders if he doesn't feel lonely. Then Haein calls him and says she feels a bit sleepy. She asks if they can continue talking while lying down. He replies that if she wants to lie down, she should make herself comfortable since it's her house. But she replies that it's not about that. She lies down and gently pats the bed, inviting him to lie next to her after he finishes his drink. The young man sees there's still quite a bit left in the can, but decides to chug it all and then walks over to her. He lies down next to her, staring at her intently. He comments that the bed is really big and asks if she has any bad sleeping habits. Haein explains that the bed was left by the previous owner, and she found it comfy, so she only changed the mattress. Curious, Yeonwon asks if she bought the blanket herself while moving his hand closer to hers. She smiles and asks how he guessed. He says the blanket has the UK flag on it, and it fits perfectly with her style. She laughs, then clarifies that it was actually made in Korea. Then she asks if she smells too much like alcohol. He says just a little. That makes her blush. She admits she feels embarrassed and exclaims she wishes he were drunk. Yeonwon reassures her and says not to worry, that he doesn't mind. She looks at him in silence, then calls him again. She asks why he kissed her. He says it wasn't a real kiss, just a quick peck. But Haein insists it's the same thing and asks again why he did it, this time frowning. Yeonwon looks at her carefully, then averts his gaze while thinking of what to say. He finally says he did it because he wanted to torment her, to see if she would stop him. He just wanted to know. He looks into her eyes and asks if she's going to run away. Haein smiles and asks if that's really the reason. She leans in a little and says that now that she's looking more closely, she thinks he's a very bad person. She places her hand on him and asks if she should jump on him. She starts touching him playfully and says she's going to see if he'll run away too. She moves her hand to his chest. Yeonwon, visibly blushing, says he's not going to run away. But Haein warns him not to say that so confidently, since nothing has started yet. And in the next moment, she makes him tremble with her touches. He also wants to do the same, but before he can go any further, Haein tells him not to. She says it's her turn now and that she's going to tease him for a while. She tells him to stay still and let her do whatever she wants. She clarifies that she hasn't done anything yet. Yeonwoo says he thought she was a calm person, but now he sees she's quite vengeful. She asks if he didn't know that, and adds that she's also a nasty person. She confesses that she has many things to hide, many fears, that she doesn't like losing, and that she's very, very greedy. She finishes by saying she's a miserable woman, and as she says it, she makes Yeonwoo blush even more with her teasing. Hain kept playing with Yeonwoo, watching him closely. Then she asked if he had a soft belly and if he had been very busy lately. He replied it was because of drinking beer, but the rest of his body was still firm. Hearing that, Hain teasingly asked if they could check, while slowly lowering her hand, putting Yeonwoo in an awkward situation. Noticing his reaction, she asked what was wrong and if he was shy. The young man replied no, it just tickled, but it felt nice. Hain, upon hearing that, said it was very cute, leaving him speechless. However, her expression changed. She reflected in silence. She couldn't take it anymore. She wouldn't last much longer. With a quick move, he got on top of Hain as he said her name. Looking at her intently, he asked her to stop joking and if they could get serious. She, a bit confused, asked if he was being serious. Then she grabbed him by the shirt and with a swift move, reversed the situation, getting on top of him. He blushed, and she confidently said she was now being serious. She called him by his name and asked how long he could last. Yeonwoo, surprised by the question, thought for a few seconds before replying with some embarrassment that maybe 15 or 20 minutes. Hain, hearing that, got annoyed, lightly hit him, and asked what he was saying if that was all he thought about. Then she clarified that what she really wanted to know was if, even if she tormented him, he would run away or not. They looked at each other in silence, searching for answers in one another's faces. Then Hain confessed that she had a terrible temper, that when she wanted something, she'd get it no matter what. But if she didn't want to give something, she wouldn't let go even if it killed her. She revealed she was very selfish and asked if he was sure he wouldn't run away from her. Yeonwoo, confused, asked why she thought he would escape. She replied that people are like that. They expect something, get disappointed, and then betray. Those who stay, suffer. The young man, upon hearing that, asked if she thought he was like those people. Then he posed another question. If she really thought that of him, why had she brought him to her room? Hain admitted it was a petty question, and taking his face in her hands, said his face really annoyed her, that she wanted to crush it. Then she began taking off his shirt. After tossing it aside, she said that was enough. She had said everything she needed to say. She asked him to get ready, while slowly approaching him. She began kissing his ear gently. But when Yeonwoo grabbed her arm, Hain immediately flinched and stood up. The young man, slightly aroused by the mood, asked what had happened. She said it was nothing, but admitted she was feeling a bit sick. She made a sound like she was going to vomit. She thought she couldn't go on, that she felt like she was going to throw up everything. She admitted to herself she couldn't take it anymore. She ran quickly to the bathroom and threw up everything she had in her stomach, something Yeonwoo could hear from the room. Worried, he went to her and found her sitting down. She let out an embarrassed sound, apologized, and said she had ruined the whole mood. She revealed she had mixed too many drinks and felt nauseous. Yeonwoo, seeing her, sat beside her and told her it was okay, that he just wanted to walk her home that night. Then he asked why she had drunk so much and if something bad had happened. She said it wasn't that she just drank because she felt good because it was fun. But then she reflected in silence and thought she was now very happy, because Yeonwoo liked long afternoon, and thanks to that, they had created many memories together. That's why she was so happy and excited, like when she bought her first guitar. Even so, she wondered why she felt that uneasiness and fear deep in her heart. She wondered if maybe she feared that the affection and care he showed her might someday vanish by chance. She also wondered why she couldn't just fully enjoy this happiness she had long desired. After that embarrassing moment, they both lay on the bed. They looked at each other, until Hain broke the silence, apologizing, since she felt like she had only brought him home to do chores. Yeonwoo, jokingly, replied that it was fine and asked her not to worry and to get some sleep since she was still dizzy. She agreed, saying she would sleep and wished him good night. Yeonwoo looked at her for a few seconds and reflected silently. He didn't want to lose that person he liked. That's why he had been honest. That's why he had come close. even though he thought it might have just been a way to avoid complicating things and quickly reach a conclusion, leaving the decision in Haeun's hands. He acknowledged it had been a very irresponsible confession, made only from his own comfort. He knew he needed to make a better confession, one that wouldn't make her feel insecure. During the night, while they both slept, Haeun started to feel uncomfortable. She woke up, murmuring that it was stifling, turned to the side, and took off the leggings she was wearing. She thought it was a relief, that as expected, it wasn't comfortable to sleep in leggings. Then she looked to her side and saw Yewoon. She almost screamed from the shock, since she had completely forgotten he was sleeping next to her. Gently running her hand through his hair, she watched him sleeping deeply, and looking at him more closely, she reflected that she wouldn't reveal yet that she was long afternoon. At least not for now. She hugged him and thought that even if one day he came to hate her, or she him, only then could Yukin and Long Afternoon continue being Yewoon's favorites. The next day, Yukin is riding a whale flying over the skies of Seoul. He starts approaching a building, getting close enough to look through the window. He sees Yewoon, who is sleeping peacefully and appears to be alone, as there's no one next to him. At that moment, what seems to be Haeun approaches and asks him to get up, causing the boy to sit up suddenly. A bit shaken, he hears his phone alarm. Before fully reacting, he wonders where he is, then remembers he stayed over at Haeun's house. He admits that caught him by surprise. He reflects that luckily he didn't fall completely asleep, since if he leaves now, he can still make it to his morning class. Then he hears a sound. It's Haeun, coming out of the bathroom. Seeing him, she asks if he's fully awake. He, in turn, asks if she's feeling better from the hangover. She replies more or less, and offers him some water. Yewoon says 1 glass is fine. Then she stares at him for a few seconds and asks why he took off his pants. She sits next to him and says she saw his pants hanging in the bathroom, asking if the room was too hot last night. The young man looks at her confused and asks if she doesn't remember what happened yesterday. That leaves her puzzled, and she asks what happened. We return to the past when Yewoon was with Haeun. The boy comes closer and suggests she lie down on the bed. He tells her that when someone has a stomachache, it's best to lie down and rest. She agrees and begins to get up slowly, until she suddenly feels sick again and vomits all the contents of her stomach on Yewoon. Back in the present, the girl hides in shame. The boy explains that's why he put her to bed, cleaned the bathroom, and washed the pants to let them dry. He clarifies he's not bragging, but it's better to be honest to avoid misunderstandings. Haeun immediately stands and bows to apologize, saying she feels like she's going to die of embarrassment. She promises to pay for the laundry, or even better, buy him new pants. Yewoon says it doesn't matter, that he already said he wouldn't say anything. Besides, he says the pants were old and he was planning to throw them away, so she shouldn't worry. Then he asks if she can bring him the pants since he needs to leave soon, something Haeun does without issue. Right after, she says she'll stay facing away so he can get dressed in peace. The boy laughs and asks if they're playing some game, but she tells him to hurry up before she turns around. While putting on his pants, Yewoon watches her closely. He remembers that he must make a proper confession. Then he calls her and asks if they can eat together on their next day off. He suggests cooking pasta at his place, and in the process, continuing the conversation they had last night. Haeun looks at him for a few seconds and then asks if he knows how to cook. He replies that yes, he's cooked occasionally since he was little. She asks if he cooks well, and Yewoon admits he's not a professional chef, but if it turns out bad, they can always eat out. Haeun thinks for a moment but rejects that idea, saying eating out is too expensive, and she's curious to know how he cooks. Yewoon then suggests they coordinate their days off and asks if they have a deal, to which Haeun agrees. At the door, the boy says goodbye, telling her they'll see each other next time and wishing her good rest. Haeun thanks him for staying with her the day before and also says goodbye. While walking down the street, Yewoon moves calmly until he internally screams if he's crazy. He remembers what he did yesterday and wonders what was that about acting serious. He thinks it was madness not to confess properly. He says he promised to control himself but ended up making a fool of himself. He regrets not behaving like a gentleman and just walking her home. Embarrassed, he prays that Haeun doesn't remember anything from that night. Meanwhile, she is playing the guitar and repeating to herself that she should drink in moderation. Unfortunately, her memory starts coming back little by little. Later in the afternoon at the cafe, Yeowoon is getting ready for his shift. He looks in the mirror and thinks his hair is in terrible shape. He blames it on drying it too quickly after showering at home, says it looks like dog hair. He confesses it's annoying having to fix it every day and wonders if he should just cut it. But then he notices something. He sees a mark on his neck and wonders what it is. He thinks it might be a bruise or a bug bite. He doesn't remember if it was already there. He confirms it doesn't hurt but decides to put on some ointment later. Upon arriving at work, he greets his coworker who greets him back. But then she looks at him more closely, slowly approaches, which makes Yeowoon ask if something's wrong. Then Shin-young changes her expression and looking at her superior, asks if he's been like that all day. Yeowoon thinks she's referring to his hair and replies that he left in a hurry and didn't fix it properly. He asks if it really looks like dog hair, but the girl says that's not it and starts getting annoyed. Then she walks past him and comments that he doesn't understand anything, and she's leaving. Yeowoon, seeing her like that, wonders what's wrong with her. That's when his boss looks at him. Smiling, she asks if by any chance he spent the night with Hain. The boy, confused, asks how she knew, and his boss responds with another question, wondering how she wouldn't know. After all, his face is screaming it. She pulls out a Band-Aid and tells him to put it on his neck quickly. She explains he has a kiss mark, in other words, a hickey. Hearing that, Yeowoon's expression changes completely. He asks if he really has that on his neck. Then it's revealed that, during the previous night, Hain kissed him on the neck, marking her territory. Still, Yeowoon seems to have enjoyed the moment. She comments that her darling's neck smells really good. Back in the present, Yeowoon is completely blushing and embarrassed. Oh Yoo-ju asks if he really didn't know what it was, stating he turned out to be more innocent than he looks. And immediately, Yeowoon shouts in embarrassment, asking what the hell she did.